Hello everybody, this is Joshua Picklesheimer of Augusta University. Today we bring you Season 1, Episode 8 of CavsCast from Augusta Preparatory Day School. We are coming to you from the TVC lab at Augusta University. Today CavsCast will look at what's going on with Cavalier tennis and track teams, and we'll be talking about that to 3 Cavalier tennis players and the track coach. Today we have Katie Duplantis, Lily Pidcock, and RJ Marsh all joining us from the prep tennis teams. The girls team made it to the state semifinals, while the boys won the GIAA state championship. Katie also was a cheerleader this academic year. Also joining us is track coach Richard Holland, who additionally serves as the defensive coordinator for the varsity football team and recently was named assistant athletic director. The track team just competed in the state meet 2 weeks ago. Welcome to you all. So RJ, I'm going to go ahead and get it started with you. So y'all just won the state championship. So please talk about that and how y'all as a team won it.
So basically we had, because there's 3 singles and 2 doubles. And going into it, we saw the bracket before, and we were just thinking, because there's this one school in the semis we were going to play named Westwood, and they had the best singles player in the state for the 2A that I lost to in the finals at the state individual. So in order to beat them, we needed to win 3 out of the 5. So what we had to do is, since also doubles 1 was strong enough to beat our doubles 1, and our doubles 2 was not strong enough to beat their doubles 2, we had to do stack the team in order to be able to get through that round. So in order to that, I actually played doubles 1, moved down, and then we had each of the people move up to. So we had a singles lineup, a different doubles lineup, and with that we were able to secure the semi win over Westwood, where we won the doubles 1, and we won the singles 2 and 3 because their singles 2 and 3 weren't as strong. And then in the finals, we had played the Brentwood, and it was, again, another close match because with our lineup change, we did beat them in the region, but with the lineup change, it made it a little more difficult in order to do so. But it came down to our singles 1. It was 2 and 2, and he ended up securing the win and a comeback from behind win. It was awesome.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So, you were talking a little bit about your teammates there, but you weren't giving us any names. So who were some of the other players on your team that helped you win the championship, and how did they contribute in ways towards it?
So, our lineup ended up being, for the singles 1, it was Alex Gasatley, who's a sophomore. Our singles 2 was Charlie Dees, a fellow senior. Singles 3 was Aiden Coe, who's an 8th grader who stepped up to play high school. It was really awesome, really awesome. For the doubles 1, it was me, and then Sullivan Bonnie, another fellow senior. And then our doubles 2 were 2 sophomores, Ethan Futch and Arun J. Ballin. Gotcha.
Okay. That's awesome. So talk about your coaches, who they are, and how did they prepare you for the season as a whole? Because I know they probably had an influence on that, or influence on y'all.
Right, yeah. So our coaches were Mr. Coe, or Coach Coe, and Coach Gasatley, and were awesome. Mr. Coe's been coaching me since 6th grade, so I've developed, the coach relationship with that. He's been the best coach, really awesome. And ever since, he coached me in 6th grade, he's taught me so much. And it was a blessing because I actually was able to help assistant coach the middle school team this past year. So it developed that, coach bond through that. And Coach Gasatley's great too. And just their pep talks during the matches, they help, you when you're kind of struggling, it helps you just get finish the pull through. I know they've both given me numerous ones that helped me, come back from behind, and it's just really great having coaches like that who will support you.
For sure. So I saw you reposted on social media probably about a week ago. You made the all-region team or the all-state team? Which one was it?
Yeah, so I made all-region, and I also did make all-state.
Oh, wow. Okay, so talk about those two, like how much of an honor that is for you and how cool it is to get that in your senior year.
It was awesome because I know because every year I've come up just a little short of getting the all-region, and because that's how you get all-region is you place top 2 in the region tournament, which in this year I got first, so I was really awesome because that has been a goal of mine ever since sophomore year. So I was able to achieve it this year, and I was planning, because once you get top 4 in the region, you qualify for the state individual, and I was not really sure how well I'd do in state individual just because usually it's super tough competition, and my goal is not really to get super far in state because I didn't think it would be possible, but I just managed to somehow surpass that goal and reach the finals of state, so I got named all-state, which was really surprised but awesome.
That's really cool. So now that the season's over, what's next for you? Like, where are you going to college and all that?
All right, so I'm going to college, and so it's Georgia College in Milledgeville, and playing and majoring in accounting and playing club tennis there, and I'll just continue to do tournaments even throughout the summer too, and just continuing improve my tennis skills through that, and just enjoying the college life. Yeah.
Yeah, are any of your buddies going with you to Georgia College?
Yeah, actually, my one fellow senior, Ethan Fender, is going to be my roommate there.
Oh,
so,
cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. Can't wait to hear more about that later. So now let's move on to Katie and Lila. So I guess we can start with Lila and then we'll go to you, Katie. So how did your season go? And then please talk about y'all's accomplishments since you said I think y'all made it to the semifinals. So talk about that.
It was pretty good. I won almost all of my matches except for I want to say my first match I lost, and then against Brentwood I lost. And the girl at Brentwood that I kept on having to play was really kind of the person who held me down at like the region thing, because I had to play her again and I had never really beat her, but that was definitely one of my best games. But the season was pretty good. We definitely have a really close team, so we bonded and stuff, so it was good.
Katie?
Yeah, personally, I made it through the season undefeated, and I got all region. And I kind of got some revenge on Brentwood, and I beat their two top players in the regional tournaments, and we met each other again at state, and that's when we lost in the semifinals. But I mean, we all played really well. Like, I remember I'm super proud of the team. Before that, about I guess a week before, I was at the individual state tournament, and I think I got booted out in the quarterfinals. It was super tough on the girls' end, but I mean, it's still a great experience.
So talk about, we can go back to Lila and then we come back to Katie. So talk about what y'all's highlight was for the season for each of you.
Okay, that's a hard question. I always just really enjoy like going to state together as a team, not only because the games normally are pretty good to play, but also this year at state we actually the girls team got to go out and just kind of go to the mall after one of our games just because we had some free time. So that was pretty fun just to spend time together, not on the tennis courts.
Besides that, I guess my highlight would be the region tournament in Milledgeville. Because, I mean, RJ and I really just had a good end to our senior year, and we both won the region tournament, and, I mean, that was just a great conclusion. Super fun, but yeah, also the state team tournament was great overall. I loved that.
Okay, so that was the highlight. So now that the season's over for y'all, what's next for both of you?
So I'll be going to University of South Carolina in Columbia, and I'll be majoring in nursing, minoring in Spanish, and just kind of enjoying that. And I'll be with all of my sisters up there, so that's going to be very fun.
You're going to play tennis at all up there, maybe?
Maybe I'll try intramurals.
Okay.
But don't know.
I'll be going to the University of Alabama in their honors college program, and I'll be studying biology on a pre-medical track, and I'll be staying a fifth year to get an additional business degree. And I hope to have time to do either intramural or club sports, and I'll probably do some music stuff up there as well. But yeah.
You have a packed schedule there. So both of you talk about your coaches and how they helped you improve over your career at Prep, and then how they helped you play this season.
Yeah, so I actually started tennis with Prep only sophomore year, but I had Mr. Coe in middle school for my teacher, so I kind of knew him already. But he was really supportive, like whenever, like recently at the region tournament, I kind of got mixed up a little bit with someone who wasn't really like kind of supposed to play me, but it was just a kind of a bad situation. But he was very he motivated me a lot. And when it came to the state tournament, like even when I lost, he was very like helpful, you know.
I've had Mr. Coe as a coach all through middle school up until now, and he even gave me the opportunity to play on the varsity team when I was in 8th grade. So I really appreciate that little like boost of, I don't know, knowledge of what it's like to play on the varsity high school team, you know. But he's so great. He's very motivational. Like, I have been lagging behind in points, and just one little talk with him at the fence is enough to switch the score around, and he just knows everything to say. And not only that, but he's just super experienced and he really knows what to work on technique-wise.
He's just very kind in general.
Yeah, coaches definitely do make the sport a lot easier for you to play. So now I guess this last question here about tennis could be for all three of you. So why does Prep have such an outstanding tennis program? And because I think when I was talking to Dr. Bulla beforehand, he was telling me, like, if you go and you look at y'all's trophy case, like, there's other trophies, but it's just full of tennis trophies. So talk about how, from a power standpoint, what it is to, like, what the tennis program at Augusta Prep is like.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's the team as well, like the team dynamic is that we all get along super well and we all work well together. We all have a plan and we all, we worked a lot over the summer too, especially we've done like some Wesley clinics. I know some of the boys team did, and we've just worked really hard in order to get to the point where we're at. And yeah, but like I said earlier, the dynamic, we all are just supportive and we all just want for each other to do our best. So a lot of it's just the dynamic of the team.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that comes with the benefit of having kind of a small, tight-knit community because, I mean, we're all already, like, familiar with each other, but tennis just kind of brings us together on an even further point. And, I mean, like RJ said, we're just super supportive of each other. The coaches, Coach Cohen, Coach Casatley, they want nothing more than for us to just get along and have a good experience. It's not really about winning, but I mean, that is definitely a good bonus that comes with it.
Yeah, I also think that just having is this on?
Yeah.
I think the opportunity to, during practice and stuff, also, the coaches aren't afraid to get us, like, in line and, do things, but then they're also good with letting us have free, like, playtime, I guess you would say, with each other just to have some fun. And also, like, traveling together brings us pretty close net.
Yeah, no, that I mean, I can just tell from in the room here that y'all are pretty close. So now we're going to move on to our over here to Coach Holland. So please talk about how the track teams performed during the regular season and then in the regionals and then the state meets, which was a couple weeks ago.
Yep. So I felt like we had a really strong track season, especially considering how many seniors we lost on the boys' side and the fact that our girls' side just still kind of continues to be young. We didn't have a ton of seniors this year, and the seniors that we did have kind of had to deal with some injuries and different stuff like that. Regular season was really good. We kind of PR'd, which is personal records, all throughout the season, which is always your goal. You can't really, in track, there's no defense, you can't control what other teams are doing. So it's really just about performing your best. So we did that throughout the season. We kind of, asked kids to try new things. They were very open and very receptive to the idea. We found things that kids were good at that they didn't think they would be good at or didn't know that they were good at. So regular season went great. We went into regionals. Undoubtedly, it's in my mind, it's not even a discussion. We have the best region in all of GIAA track, both boys and girls. Most of the individual state champions from the state meet came out of our region. Most of the the non-automatic qualifiers where you have to run fast times came out of our region. And I felt like we had a really strong track team, and both our boys and girls finished fourth in the region. Moving into state, and I think, again, this goes back to just how strong our region is. Our boys finished fifth and our girls finished sixth, but our girls were like 7.5 points out of third place. So that's, 3 kids move up a spot higher, and all of a sudden you're in the mix, for third place in that conversation, everything like that. Both teams, girls and boys, dealt with a lot of injuries this season: ankles, knees, hamstrings, shin splints, all that kind of stuff. The kids approached it with a great attitude, went and saw the trainer daily, went and did the rehab exercises they were supposed to do even during spring break, when they were supposed to have the week off, just doing whatever they could to get better. I think had we not seen those injuries, we would have seen maybe a few more school records fall, maybe even placed a little higher on the boys and girls side of state.
Yeah, no. So, who are some of the outstanding performers on your team, and like who made All-State?
So in track, there's not technically an All-State. It's just about, can you qualify for state? So we had 46 entries, not necessarily 46 kids, but 46 entries into the region meet. You take your top 4 from each region, and we have a 9-team region, so that's a lot of kids. And then your top 8 after that. And those kids all go to state. 36 of our 46 made it through. And we had a couple kids that were just a little bit shy of making it through. So that's kind of how well our track program did. Big names, you can't think of track and field at Augusta Prep without thinking of the Trapp family. Annie and Hayes Trapp. Hayes went 3 for 3 this year as an individual, won the 32, the 16, and the 800. The 800 had been the only thing that had eluded him, and that was because Ben Monig, who was an Augusta Prep graduated last year, and Ben would always beat him by just a little bit. So this year he actually ran faster than Ben ran last year at the state meet. It was very close to the school and state record. Annie had dealt with a little bit of ankle injuries and stuff like that. Annie's Annie. She responds great to everything. She had a positive attitude, worked really, really hard to get herself back, ended up being state champion in the 3200 and placed very high in the 16 and the 8. And she also anchored our girls 4x8 team, which was a new event in state this year. And that girls 4x8 team went on to win state, and consequently, because of that, state record.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you were talking about it before that you lost a lot of seniors coming into this season.
Mm-hmm.
So what were your thoughts about your seniors that you had this year and what they accomplished?
We had a great group of seniors. Obviously, like I've already mentioned, Hayes, just a great kid, works extremely hard, leads by example, is also a vocal leader. Then we have a young man named Tyon Waiters. He's a really vocal guy. He probably got half of our male sprinters to come out for track this year. A lot of them it wasn't on their radar, something they were interested in. And as a result, we got guys like Sebastian Neve, who is a absolute star baseball player. He came out and ran a little bit of track part-time, was a big part of our 4x1 team, also ran the 4x4 for us and did a great job there. On the girls' side, we have Priya Sharma. She's been running track at Prep since 5th grade. She's a do-it-all kid. She did pole vault, which in itself you could spend 2 hours a day on, long jump, 100, 4x1, 4x4. Just a great leader in terms of her work ethic. She was always the first one out there, and a lot of times it was between her and Hayes as who was going to be the last one off the track. And then we had some good throwers: Jack Risch, Emery Doss, Elise Nolan, and Charlotte Roy were our 4 throwers that were seniors. They also did a great job, all PR'd this season. Jack and Emery both actually had just huge moments at state this year. Jack jumped up like 6 spots from his qualifying through a 3-foot PR and shot put, which is, it's similar to taking like a second and a half off your 100-meter time. I mean, it's a lot in one throw. Emery broke 40, which is kind of like that cusp of like, man, you're just a really, really good thrower when you break 40. Elise qualified for state, and she had dealt with an injury earlier in the season, only got a couple weeks of practice and just did a great job. And Charlotte was just always there at practice, doing exactly what she needed to be doing, and it showed up with PRs at the end of the season.
So that was this year. So now talk about what your future looks like for the track team, and who are some of the people that you plan on being standouts for the years to come.
Yeah. So like I alluded to, we're losing a great group of seniors. We lost a great group of seniors last year. Our girls team will actually be, I would say, a little more experienced because the majority of our girls were freshmen, sophomores. On the girls' side, I think obviously you're still looking at Annie Trapp as a leader. She'll be a senior next year. I think the state records for the 32, the 8, and the 16 are all in danger next year. She already holds the school record for cross country. I think our school records are in danger next year with her as well. So that's a big thing. Looking at, some of our younger kids, Jada Hicks is a freshman this year, started running hurdles, worked really hard, got progressively better throughout the season. I think she's got a really high talent ceiling. It's just getting her the reps in practice and everything like that. Another good one is Amelie Wang. She was probably our fastest girl this year. Depending on how you want to measure that. Do you measure it with what we do in practice with our 10-meter flies that just measures top speed alone? Do you measure it with 100 meters? It's between her and Priya. So those are kind of the 3 of the girls that we're looking at. They're going to be really strong. And then Mesa Owanski's also slowly but surely been coming on strong. She actually ran all the way back in 8th grade, and she did a great job this year. She PR'd at state in the 800 and, got us a lot of extra points. She jumped up, I don't know exactly how many spots, but I think it was somewhere in the 5 to 7 range based off of seeding. On the boys' side, looking at it, we have some really fast kids coming back. Our boys 4x1 team was actually two freshmen, a sophomore, and a senior who had never ran tracks. They had 0 years experience, and they ran a tenth of a second slower than last year's boys 4x1 team, who had 11 years of varsity track experience between them. So we're returning 3 of those guys, and they really weren't far off the state record. We find one more guy to fill in that spot for Sebastian Neve, and I think that's a really solid and strong team there. Distance runner-wise, you've got Roy Gamble and Aaron Wang are freshmen and sophomores that worked really hard and came a long way this season. And then you have some 8th graders coming up, like Nick Wynn, who's very fast. We probably should have pulled him up in the season and let him run with varsity because he had varsity times. And then you have Carter Chavis and Dason Zhang, who actually did run with varsity and ran hurdles all season. Both managed to qualify for state as 8th graders in 300 hurdles. So really strong group coming back. If we can get a few more guys and girls out there with them, because in track you win with numbers, we have a really promising season ahead of us.
Yeah, no, it really sounds like it. So that was all the track stuff and how promising that is. So let's switch gears to football now. So is the team working out? Are they lifting weights now? And then is summer training going to begin soon?
Excuse me. So team's been lifting already. They've been working hard. Coach Booker has us headed in the absolute right direction. He's just done a phenomenal job with the kids of implementing the weight room as a, I wouldn't say daily, but 2 or 3 days a week thing, and getting them consistently lifting. Our numbers are up. We graduated a very, very solid senior class of football players, so we had a lot of guys to replace, and we've had kids say, Coach, I want to come play football now. It looks fun. I'm having fun with it and everything like that. I think we're going to have a really, really athletic group. They'll be, quote unquote young, but I don't think they're not the type of kids that are going to let that, stop them or use that as an excuse. So I see us having a really good, strong season. The kids are really starting to understand what we're doing in football because it can be a complex game at times. But everything's headed in the right direction. I was super fired up for last season. I'm just as fired up coming into this season. Last season was one of the funnest seasons I've ever coached of football, and I think this season is going to be very similar.
Now, we were talking about the seniors for the track team, so let's talk about the seniors for the football team. So, you just had 5 or 6 players sign national letters of intent to play college football.
Yep.
So I know we've had them a couple of them on the show already, but talk about who they are, where they sign, and what made them stand out as a whole at Augusta Prep.
Okay. I'll try and make sure I get them all because it was a lot. So I'm trying to go in chronological order of who was signed when. First one was Hunter Snowberger. Hunter came to us from Evans, decided to, make the change and get himself prepped for college. Came over, fit right in right away. A lot of the guys already knew him from doing private training and stuff like that. Just did an excellent job of being willing to learn how we do things, jumping from 6A public school ball to a private school football. You run the football a lot more. So, as a defensive end, it requires just a ton of discipline and a willingness to, play for your team. And I thought he did a great job with that throughout the season. He got a lot better. He's a kid that loves the weight room and really gets after it. Emery Dawson, Jack Risch, our linemen that signed. Emery's going to go to Tuskegee and Jack's going to go to Swanee. And it's kind of weird because I've been watching those guys start for 4 years and we've been running the football behind them for 4 years. And they've also been the guys that we relied on for defense. So we're going to miss them. I mean, again, those are guys that love the weight room. They love football. They love being around each other. They've done an excellent job. I think they got a bright future ahead of them in terms of playing college football too. We got Solomon Willis and Bryson Cronin are also going to Swanee with Jack. Those guys are Bryson's a running back and Solomon plays some running back, and then he also plays a good bit of defense at safety and stuff like that. Bryson was a 4-year starter for us, all state, tons and tons of yards. I don't know if he's our school record holder for yards, but if he's not, he's close. And Solomon was kind of that Swiss Army knife that every school wants in a football player. He was willing to go whatever, do whatever. And at the end of the season, defensively, he just came on super strong. It got to the point where you could not run the football in his direction because he was going to be up in your face, making the tackle immediately. So he did a great job with that. And then last but not least, I think it's last but not least of all the guys that signed, is Tyon Waiters. Like I said, he ran track with us. he's a guy that every single school told us, hey, we game planned around him. We know he doesn't touch the football 50 times a game, but we don't want him to touch the football at all. Because if he touched the football 10 times, he might end up with 200 yards for the night. Just very fast player, had great vision, saw a hole, shot through it. Whenever it came to the passing game, he was going to find that open guy. Even if it was just a teeny tiny window, he was going to find him and he was going to get that ball to him every single time. So he did an absolutely excellent job. And then he even stepped up at times for us on like 4th and longs on defense where we really needed somebody who could cover deep and who was long and could jump high. In fact, he made a interception against Piedmont. They kind of sealed the deal for us in that game because they were driving. They had a really strong passing game, and they threw it. He just stepped up, jumped right in front of it, and got it for us. So all those guys just have a super bright future ahead of them in terms of playing college football. So I'm really excited for them and what the future holds.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. So, you're the defensive coordinator for the team. So what's your main scheme and philosophy about how you want your team to play the game?
The biggest thing is we want them to play fast and aggressive. We don't want hesitation. So we try to keep it simple, but not so simple that teams can figure out what we're going to do every single time the ball is snapped. If you want to put a label on it, you could say our defense is a 4-4. I like to think of it as a 4-2. Just because the passing game and kids like playing safety more than they do outside linebacker and stuff like that. Either way, our kids do a great job of buying into what we're doing in our system. They ask great questions about it to make sure they clarify and understand. For us, it's about being aggressive. I told my team, I said, the number one thing you can do as a defensive group is just tackle. Everything else that we do is really about putting you in the best position to tackle so that we're making sure we've got somebody wherever that ball goes to make the tackle.
What do you think your best game defensively was this year, or y'all's best game defensively?
It's tough because we had a couple games that I felt like we were very, very strong in. I would say probably our best defensive game this year was against Southwest Georgia. They ran a combination of wing T and single wing, which a lot of people think is old school, but it's very, very hard to defend. You just have no idea where the ball is going half the time, and they give you a lot of false keys and make you think the ball's going one way and it's going another. It really took our kids playing with trust in each other that, hey, if I sit here and I do my job and this guy sits here and he does his job, we're going to be okay, instead of everybody just trying to run around and make the play and do what they thought, where the ball was going and being selfish and trying to make tackles. And, if you looked at that game in terms of who made tackles and everything like that, it was kind of spread out across the team based off of where they're positioned, because everybody sat home, they read their keys, they took their time, they did their job, and then once they knew where the ball was going, it was 11 hats to the football every time.
Awesome. So talk about that was this season. So talk about who some of the defensive standouts will be for the team in the fall, and then when practice is going to officially start.
Okay. So we'll start practice, as soon as the GIAA allows us. I don't remember the exact date, but it's like the very, very end of July. We'll start our heat acclimation period where we're helmets and everything like that. Standout-wise, the first kid that always comes to mind to me on defense is Ben McKinney. Ben plays Mike linebacker or middle linebacker for us. He's a very vocal kid, which is always a huge bonus to have because communication is key on defense. But on top of that, he's an absolute spark plug for our defense. He fires on all cylinders at all times. He plays both ways, plays special teams, does not get tired, never asks for a break. Just great tackler, and he is all over the field. I think he had something like 113 tackles last year. He was 5th or 6th in the entire league. The teams, there was two guys that finished ahead of him, where if their season had ended the same week his season had ended, he probably would have surpassed them in tackles as well. So he's just an absolute huge benefit for us to have there. He's, like I said, he's just all over the field, and we can rely on him to make plays. Sam Cannell is going to be a senior this year too, as well as Ben McKinney. He plays free safety for us. He does a great job. He's a kind of a do-it-all kid too, a Swiss Army knife. But defensively, he's constantly breaking up passes. Got a pick or two, I think, through the season last year. And then even as a free safety, he's always coming downhill in the run game, making tackles, and almost acts like an extra linebacker for us at times. And then our other linebacker, our Sam linebacker, is Fripp McDougal. Fripp's just a great kid, has a great work ethic. He's the first kid to come up to you after practice every single day and tell you thank you. Always wants to know what he could work on. He can make every single tackle in a game and come up to you and still say, Coach, what do I need to work on? Just he loves the game. He loves getting better. He's another kid that was kind of all over the place for us. And all three of those guys are just willing to do whatever it takes for the team to be successful. For them, it's not about their personal stats or anything like that. It's about, hey, Coach, what do we need to do to win the football game? And what do I need to do for the team and everything like that? So it's a huge benefit when you have three seniors like that coming back to lead everybody else for the future.
So, you got three jobs at Augusta Prep. You're the track coach. You're also the defensive coordinator. So you're also the assistant athletic director. So talk about your primary duties in that role. It's
a role that kind of fluctuates here and there sometimes. The main things I handle are eligibility, just making sure that we've got all that data input into the league's portals that says, like, hey, all our kids are eligible. Obviously being at prep, that's the great thing is you never have to check on a kid's grades. They're eligible. We still do it anyway just to make sure that we're going by the rules. But it's never, we got to call this kid's parents and say he's not eligible because the kids are always doing a great job with their academics. Other thing I do is schedules online. Making sure that we've got all our schedules online so that everybody knows when and where games are, what time they start, estimated time of finish, and everything like that. When teams like our tennis team go to, state and everything like that, they have to play 2 or 3 days. We don't want them driving 4 hours back and forth each day. That just really wears on their legs, having to be cramped in a bus. So we're booking hotels for them, different stuff like that. And then there's just kind of a lot of, going to Dr. Bradley and, hey, what do you need me to do right now? Is there something that needs to be cleaned up, picked up? Clean up the weight room, which Coach Booker, pretty much I don't really have to clean the weight room because Coach Booker's in there constantly making sure that it's perfect. But just kind of whatever other odds and ends. Sometimes you mow grass, which again, Coach Booker loves to mow grass, so don't do that. In the past, I've treated the fields with fertilizer and weed killer and all that good stuff. So just it's kind of whatever.
Mm-hmm. And are there any challenges in that role that you have?
I wouldn't. It's hard for me to say that there's really challenges in that. If it is a challenge, it's a challenge that I enjoy. So I don't really think of it as a challenge. I think of it as a learning opportunity. I try to find things that maybe need to be done before I'm told they need to be done. So I think that would be the biggest challenge. But we have such a great staff at Augusta Prep that it's not like you're running around going, oh, well, somebody didn't do this or somebody didn't do that. So there's not really, a ton of challenge that comes with that, except just sometimes trying to find, what does Dr. Bradley need, or somebody already taking care of it.
Okay. So, that was all about sports. So I'm going to turn it back to y'all, the students. So now you're graduating in 2 weeks. So we were talking about y'all's sports and how much that meant to you. So quickly, I guess we can go down the line, talk about what the academics at Augusta Prep meant to y'all and how that prepared you for college.
So the academics at Prep are like no other. It's really incredible because after I came from Prep in 6th grade, because I moved to from Atlanta, I was just surprised by how, because it was just my old school in Atlanta was nothing compared to academics at Prep. I was like, wow. And I adapted to it, and it really learned a lot, and just helped me become a thinker and not just, memorize a bunch of stuff and just put it on paper. It was actually, it really helped me, and I'm truly thankful and blessed for just the past 7 years I've had at Prep. Thanks to amazing teachers. You can just get help whenever because they're always available, always willing to work with you. And it truly is a blessing. And I'm just thankful to have gone to such a great school.
No, yeah, I've been at Prep for the past 11 or so years. And the teachers have just been consistently accommodating for all of your needs. If you need to remake a test, say we've been at a lot of tennis tournaments this past season. So, just week after week, I always have to email all my teachers, and they're more than happy to provide accommodations for that. And just the academics have been consistently good for the time that I've been here, and I'm just so grateful, and I know I'm going to be prepared for college.
Yes, I've actually been at Prep since 6th grade, like RJ, And I came from EDS, and it was not a very comparable in academics wise. And I guess prep is very rigorous academics, so it definitely really helps you to have all the teachers. Like Katie said, they're very accommodating and they're very kind, and they care about you more than just as a student. They care about you as a person too, so it's very helpful.
I guess we can wrap it up with this. Is there like a favorite class that y'all had at Augusta Prep, or like a favorite teacher? This is anything like that?
Yeah, well, my favorite teacher at prep it's easily Mr. Coe. Just he's through all the tennis and through just even he's taught me so much through his math courses in 7th and 8th grade. He really helped me work through it because I struggled in math back then, but then after I graduated from 8th grade, math actually became one of my stronger subjects. So he really did help me through that, and he's just always a supportive guy, and he's just such an amazing man, and I'm so thankful that he's been part of my life.
My favorites definitely have to be Mr. Coe and my current, Lila and I's current anatomy teacher, Miss Owen, and she's moving on from prep after this year, and I'm just so thankful that I've gotten to spend my last year in her anatomy class, and she is rigorous. She is known for her challenges, but I mean, I'm just looking back on it. I might have hated it while taking the class, but I mean, I'm looking back on it. I'm just so thankful.
Mine would probably be, he's not an academic teacher technically, but he's my ceramics teacher. I've had him since 7th grade, and I've been in his class every year up till now, and you go in there and like you're having a hard day or something, he just like talks to you, and he's also a great artist, so, but he's definitely my favorite.
That's awesome. So, that's going to wrap it up for today's CavsCast. Thank you for listening. It's been a pleasure talking to Coach Holland, RJ, Lila, and Katie. CavsCast is a production of Augusta Prep Athletics and the Department of Communication at Augusta University. Thank you to Augusta Prep Director of Athletics, Rory Bradley, for his support of this podcast. The producer is Dr. Timothy Williams, and the coordinating producer is Dr. David Bulla. I am Joshua Picklesheimer, your host. This is it for the first 1 year in podcast, and we'll be taking the summer off. So stay tuned for our next podcast in the fall for sports season and everything. So you can find this on YouTube and any other social media. And have a great day. We'll see you again soon.